Alright folks, today I'm going to go over some of the differences in the Borg-Warner transfer cases running the GMT 400 series of trucks. You'll have to deal with some of the road noise, apologize for it. But big block truck transmission went out 2 months ago. Got a new one, got it installed over the week after 4th of July. What I thought was a noisy U-joint turned out, hopefully it's a transfer case and not the rear end. But I've been collecting parts to put a Borg-Warner transfer case in this truck and the 1-ton chassis out back for the last couple of years. And the more I dig into it, the more information I find out, and some of the little nuances and differences between the cases. So I'm going to go over a bunch of the, or not a bunch of, but a fair amount of the differences in the transfer cases, torsion bar cross members, wiring schematics. This may be a little bit longer video. It is what it is. I want to try and get as much covered as I can in this video. And then if people have questions, I can always go back through and do a follow-up video to try and help answer those questions. So, let's take a look at some transfer cases. Now, I got two 4401s and one 4470. And they came in a couple of different configurations. So, this 4401 is a 1992 model. It has a fixed rear output, a flat flange front output, and this has got the 2-prong four-wheel drive indicator switch in it. This one is typically found in extended cab and crew cab 1-ton pickups. So all these Borg-Warner cases are only found in 1-ton four-wheel drive pickups. Not in half tons, not in 3/4 tons. Doesn't matter if it's a 7200 GVW, which is a 6-lug 3/4 ton. If it's the 8600 pound GVW 3/4 ton, which is 8-lug, still has a 14-bolt semi-float. Or if it's in an 8,600 pound GVW 3/4 ton with a big block or a diesel and a full float rear. You only got NP 241s in the 1/2 and 3/4 tons. The 1-tons are the only ones that got Borg-Warner transfer cases. So, 92 model. Out of an extended cab 1-ton. This 4401 is out of, what is that? A 98. So this would be a regular cab long box. Slip yoke rear. Fixed yoke front. This one kind of see it, kind of not. This is a 3-prong four-wheel drive indicator switch. This case is a 4470 out of a 94. This is fixed yoke, rear, flat drive flange front, flat drive flange front output, and that should also be a three-pin, where'd it go? Three-pin four-wheel drive actuator switch. Now, the only difference between a 4470 and a 4401, if you haven't noticed it yet, there is a 1-inch spacer plate in here. The spacer plate houses the oil pump for these transfer cases. These, from my understanding, are more of a free-floating pump, kind of like the NP 241s, new process 241s. These, the oil pumps, are mounted to this plate. So these are actually a more preferred style of transfer case because it is a solid mounted oil pump. Now, the Borg-Warner cases also have provisions for a PTO. These are the only transfer cases GM offered with provisions for PTO. You know, tow trucks, service trucks, etc., etc. Anything that needed a PTO, pretty much had to get a 1-ton unless you wanted an engine-mounted PTO. Now, see this additional plug at the back of all three of these. That operates a clutch that engages a slip collar in here, and that is what activates your front output for four-wheel drive. Still has forks in there. I do have a manual or a supplement. I'll go through that. I haven't actually torn into one of these. I may have to, depending upon what wiring harness combination I need. So, between the 2-pin and the 3-pin, you cannot interchange those switches. The 3 pins are approximately a 1/2 inch or more longer than the 2 pins. Now, all the parts between these 3 cases are interchangeable. So if yours went out and you needed a fixed yoke because you have an extended cab or a crew cab, but all you could find is a slip yoke, you can tear both these cases apart and flip-flop hard parts, flip-flop case halves. They're all fairly universal. You know, if you didn't want a fixed yoke, you want a flat flange yoke, you can tear apart the transfer cases, swap the guts around. So that is the one good thing about these. That's about the only thing I can think of offhand with these. So this is the one that's probably going to end up in the big block truck here. I have to go through and look at the 94 TBI harness I have for this. It's 94, 95 big blocks are standalone years. There's a couple of added benefits to going with a 94 as far as some of the sensors go. You actually get a linear actuator EGR, but all that's for another video. But I did notice some of the transmission plugs are different on that harness compared to this 91 harness. Cross members. You guys might notice something a little funny looking about these two. Went to the salvage yard. These are the two best ones I had. One's out of a 99, the other's out of a 2000. So for regular cab long box trucks, this is the style of torsion bar cross member you need to run a Borg-Warner case in your truck. So if you have a 3/4 ton and you want to upgrade, this is the style of cross member you need. Just for reference, I'll crawl underneath the big block truck here. Where did we go? Okay, so as you can see, this cross member is straight as an arrow. There's the 241. See how narrow that is. Put my hand up there. You guys can see from my pinky to my thumb is right around 9 inches. And that's going from the mounting face to the back of the transfer case. Alright, keep that in mind. So with the fixed yoke Borg-Warner case, that fixed yoke ends up right around here. Pretty much directly over top of the straight cross member. Now, if you've got an extended cab or a crew cab truck, that's no big deal because you're running a 2-piece drive shaft. But on a truck that is not running a 2-piece drive shaft, that can cause some issues. I'm not saying it will. I only know this because we pulled some measurements when I put the new transmission in this thing. And my mechanic buddy and I decided to forego putting a Borg-Warner case in until we got some more information and parts and whatnot and whatever. So we just stuck that thing back in. Now, remember how I said that 241 was 9 inches roughly from mounting face to end of case? Yeah. As you can tell, that is substantially larger. So we're about 9 inches right here to this separation plate. And another 9 inches from there to where the U-joint would sit in this yoke. So that's 18 inches total for that. That one, you got 9 to right there. And about 18 inches right to here, roughly. I did measure all 3. And I wanted to say the 241 was like 18.5 inches overall from mounting face to end of slip yoke. This one would have been like 19.5. The fixed yoke was like 17.5 to center U-joint. And then this guy was like 20.5 because of this extra wide spacer plate in there. So if you guys are thinking about putting a Borg-Warner case in your 8-lug 3/4 ton, keep in mind you will have to find a 1-ton torsion bar cross member or fabricate your own. That's up to you. I picked the easy route and I bought a used one. Wiring harnesses. So this harness is for a early model truck. Probably 93 and older. I think 94 was a changeover year between the 2 and the 3-pin 4-wheel drive indicator switches. But this is... These plugs are similar to what is currently under my truck. This will work on that the 92 case. That was actually out of a 93 extended cab dually 4x4. That's what this harness was out of, even though the case is stamped 92. Whatever, it works. Most of you guys will notice this as the 4-wheel drive actuator, and that is your ABS switch. When you go into 4-wheel drive, it disconnects the ABS system. That's what that plugs into. This is the relay. If you notice, this looks just like your fuel pump relay. And also, if your truck has RPO code VYU, that is snowplow prep package, and there's one of these on both the driver and passenger side core support for auxiliary snowplow lights. This is kind of a generic relay that GM uses in a lot of stuff. This is for operating the clutch pack in the Borg-Warner transfer case. Not entirely sure what that's for. It might be O2 sensor. This plugs into transmission harness. That plugs into the pigtail just below your 4-wheel drive range selector lever. This should be a speed sensor. I don't recall offhand what this guy is for. Oh, this is the 4-wheel drive indicator switch. That's what that guy's for. This is for your transfer case speed sensor. And this is the guy that plugs into your clutch. Now we come over to the newer style harness. One of these, again, I got 2 of these. One for me, one from my mechanic buddy. One's out of a 99, one's out of a 2000. So this harness is going to differ a little bit. That looks like another speedometer or speed sensor plug. What is this? Oh, this is the 3-prong 4-wheel drive indicator switch. This is a different style that will plug into the by the lever for your indicator lights. Transfer case, speedometer, clutch. I think it was 96 up, maybe it was 97. They come with an electric 4-wheel drive actuator right off the get-go without having to wire in a separate wiring harness. So the plug's a little bit different. This is a 4-pin plug. Here is the relay, missing the metal tab. Looks like they broke the plastic a little bit. Is there a part number on this? There you go. There's a part number for that guy. So there are different wiring harnesses for transfer cases depending upon if you get an early one or if you get a late one. So if you're going to Marketplace or Pick and Pull or your local salvage yard, make sure you get the separate transfer case wiring harness for the transfer case. If you don't, no big deal. We'll go on to the next thing. So here is wiring schematic for 91. This is a GM wiring or schematic book. Transfer case synchronizer, transfer case relay. Just so you guys can see this. This is one for 93 wiring schematic. You notice a lot of it's pretty much the same. Unfortunately, I do not have a book for 94 or 98. I've been looking for one and I have not been able to find one yet. As you notice, 1-ton, 4-wheel drive, Auto Trans HD, 4-speed with overdrive. The other book doesn't point that out. If you got the patience, you can get on Google, search through GMT 400 Borg-Warner wiring diagrams, and there is several wiring diagrams that people have provided that show you how to wire in a Borg-Warner transfer case into a non-Borg-Warner transfer case truck if you don't have either one of the appropriate wiring harnesses. So that is also an option. You go factory wiring, or you can make your own harness. Your choice. The older I get, the more I like having factory stuff instead of full-on custom. Something else I have picked up. This is a supplement for 91. Do not confuse this with the RV series. This is for the CK series, also known as GMT 400. It is not for the RV series, which are the old square bodies. 91 was the last year for the RV series. Sometimes you got to watch that when you you're looking for parts and talking to guys. Some know, some don't know. This manual covers 1370s, 4472, 4470. I have not been able to find one of these for a newer year. See if there's anything different. Obviously, I can't, tell you anything about the 1370 or 4472 because I don't have either one of those. I got a 4470 and 4401. This might take a minute, and I'm going to flip through all this. This is rather handy for any rebuilds you need to do. Trying to figure out if there's any hidden snap rings or screws anywhere. They do list several special tools in here for working on these cases. There are torque specifications, process, like I said, specialty tools. This 4472 definitely looks a whole lot different than the 4401s and 4470s that I have. Believe it or not, I actually got 4 of those cases. I went on a bit of a spending spree over the last couple of years, picking stuff up, not knowing what I wanted or what I was going to need. I saw them for a good deal, so I just kind of picked them up. Somewhere I actually have a tag for at least one of those. But as you can tell, there's your oil pump and that 1-inch spacer. Now some people laugh at me for buying all these manuals and stuff, but I tell you what, they are a huge time saver. And they can cut way back on your headaches. Especially if you need hard parts for stuff. You at least know what they're called instead of the generic, well, it's a gear thing inside the transfer case and I need one. Can you get it? I'm kind of hoping I don't have to tear into either one of these, but I may have to. So that's what little I know about Borg-Warner transfer cases. It's a lot more than what I knew 2 years ago. And like I said, I got 4 of those cases. I think the other one is also a 4401 with a fixed rear output. So if I don't have all the appropriate connectors between the 94 engine and transmission harness I picked up for the big block truck or the one for the 1-ton chassis I redid, I can at least tear one of them apart and get it swapped over to the appropriate four-wheel drive actuator. Because the 1-ton chassis has got a 94 big block in it. And that has a 2-prong fat finger out of the way. That has a 2-prong four-wheel drive actuator switch. The harness I picked up for the big block truck, the rig truck, that did come out of a 94 four-wheel drive extended cab dually. So that's probably going to have that newer style harness over there, which isn't an entirely bad thing, because that means I will have a harness for each one of my trucks. One old style, one new style, which I'm absolutely fine with. And then my mechanic buddy has the other one that he can figure out. Or he can cut it apart and make one of the old style ones. Although he does have a new style four-wheel drive actuator switch on his. But anyways, that's as much as I know about Borg-Warner 4401s and 4470s. I have not yet had the pleasure of tearing into one to see what it looks like. It may come sooner than later. I don't know yet. I do know the one with that 1-inch spacer plate is going to go in that 1-ton chassis. So I'll probably have to tear one apart regardless, so I can get a slip yoke rear on that and be able to clear that straight torsion bar cross member. So I've jammered away long enough. I'm going to go put some stuff away and call it a night. I want to thank you all for watching and dealing with my sporadic posting. I know it can get aggravating sometimes or tiring, but work is work, feast or famine, right? So as I continue on with stuff, I find problems, issues, I have hiccups, I'll bring you guys along for it. So until then, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one.